Hi everyone, welcome to the monthly review. And when I tried to gather everything which I colored in July, I was surprised that July was for me a month of coloring animals. I can't say that animals are my favorite subject in coloring, and for a long time I was terrified to color fur, to color animals, but surprisingly in July I did a lot of pictures with animals or birds. But let's start from TamakaTashira book because this spread I started to color in the last days of June and in the beginning of July I have finally finished it. It's Tanabata uh, and it's Japanese story, Japanese legend. In June I did the background. I used acrylic paints, I used watercolors, so it was mixed media work. Then I used polychromoses because they are my favorite medium for this paper, for the frame and for the main characters. I really tried to stay in a limited color palette. I have some problems during this coloring, first with doing this pastel color background, then by coloring frame. I wasn't very happy until I outlined it with white Posca. It's pity that you can't see how pearlescent is my background because I added pastel and pearl watercolors on top of the acrylic paint, so in real life it's quite shiny with a little bit of lilac and blue. And in the end, I am really happy that I have finished it and that it looks exactly like I planned to color it. Also, I added a little bit of gold on the ribbons on the kimono, and as the left side looked a little bit simpler comparing to the right picture behind the uh, main character, behind the man, I draw something like blooming sakura in bloom because I needed something in this area of the background. I can't say that it was easy coloring. As I said, I had some technical problems and some problems with color choices, but in the end, I am glad that everything is how it is. And also, it was interesting to learn this legend about Tanabata holiday and about these lovers who are able to meet one another only one day a year. This book for me is a good example how my taste in books can be changed because first I saw this book probably 4 years ago and then I thought that I am not a huge fan of TamakaTashira style because of so many tiny flowers and leaves and also because of the huge empty backgrounds. But now, after I got this book and after I finished to color couple of projects here, I think that I definitely has changed my mind and somehow coloring in this book is quite relaxing. Even if paper isn't perfect and it wasn't possible to use anything apart from pencils and acrylic paints, uh, now when I have my clear gesso to prepare backgrounds, I am sure that I will be coloring more and I will be able to coloring more interesting pictures by finally using watercolors for the backgrounds and by coloring small areas with pencils. I can't say that I am totally happy by this sakura in bloom. It has strange shape and maybe I had to add more of these branches, but anyway, in the end I am quite satisfied with the final look of this spread. Next, let me show my finished projects on the toned paper. I have finally finished to color everything from Rita Berman Summer Freebie project. If you hadn't followed my color alongs for all these 9 pictures, let me explain that I used mix of pencils here. Some of them are colored with Prismacolors, some of them colored with polychromasis. Of course, with polychromasis was much easier to color smaller details, but if I wanted to use pastel and light colors for the backgrounds or for some of the elements, then I have switched to Prismacolors. For me, it was very fun and very enjoyable project. It was nice that by spending quite relatively small amount of time for each of the project, I was able to get a finished picture, even so small. So I think that now I am a little bit more acquainted with the style of Rita Berman. And my second project was by Johanna Basford from her Flourish free book. This one is my favorite design because it looks more realistic. I decided that all berries and fruits I will be trying to color in more realistic way, and on birds I will be fantasy playing with colors. I have to finish yet the final design with apples. Here I mostly used Prismacolors because designs are slightly bigger, so it was easier to use Prismacolors. I'm still not sure about this green color which I selected for the background, but at least it was interesting experiment to work on such color of the background. Of course, I prefer color animals which are drawn in realistic way, and for me, perfect example of such realistic drawing is this Australian Animals by Selina Fennick. Here I colored this beautiful echidna. I always thought that she is quite cute despite all the eagles, and here I used my Black Widow pencil set designed for coloring dark skin. Surprisingly, it was very helpful here. I mixed it with Prismacolors and with polychromasis. I also tried to color all orchid flowers in such a way that they have the same colors as they have in real life. So two types of orchids were yellow and one was that bright purple, and I felt like I need second purple flower to maintain this composition. So the second orchid in the top part of the picture I draw it by myself and I colored it with purple, and now I am much more happy with the composition of this picture. As usual, I struggled a little bit with covering background, because of the paper, but in the end I am happy how echidna looks. This birds for a long time was my project in my plans, but I was slightly afraid to start coloring it because I knew that this cockatoo have quite difficult designs on their feathers, and I really wanted to show it on my picture. I especially fall in love with this black cockatoo who has black feathers with beige or pale gold tips of feathers and a lot of dots. When I looked at reference pictures, I wasn't able to believe that such beauty exists in real life because it's so interesting, so beautiful, and this bright red spot on the tail, it's also quite spectacular. So plus 2 finished pictures in Australian animals, and I slowly fill in this book step by step. In July I also have returned to Exotischer Urwald book. I can't remember when was the last time I have uh, colored anything in this book, probably more than half of the year. I think that I did picture for winter time, but this time I decided to color illustration about Japanese national park. I think that I have selected it because of the black background and because I love this idea of the tree in the center and all those animals and plants which are surrounding and sitting near its roots. It wasn't very easy coloring because it's not so many animals here and much bigger amount of various stones and green elements. I looked at the reference pictures, of course, and I saw that on this national park there are a lot of moss, a lot of various plants, and it also has um, high mountain zone and zone near the ocean, so variety of plants is quite big. I really tried not to lose animals among all those green parts, so I did one monkey with deliberately very dark fur and the second one with quite light fur. I really hope that they are visible among all those flowers and plants. I always thought that this one is quite underrated book by colorists. It's really good. It has interesting subjects, even if it has a lot of spreads. Because of the good quality, it's possible to color near the binding, so I didn't felt like I lost part of the page. And I love that I can learn something about new areas around the world. My only pity is that they didn't mention all animals and plants, so I had to search by myself, and I am not sure that I was able to find and to recognize all plants which and animals which are traditional for this national park. I definitely hope that I will be able to return to this book more frequently. I would say that in July I mostly did comfortable coloring. I not very often went out of my comfort zone and to color something really difficult. Mostly I colored in books by Selina Fennick and Teresa Goodrich, and these books are quite easy for me and they are relaxation and real anti-stress for me. So in July I started two my new books and I did another project in spring scenes, even if we are in the middle of the summer. In the spring scenes I did picture which is also represented on the cover of the book, but I wanted to color it in slightly different way, so at least I tried to change color of the window frame and color of some of the flowers. I, as usual, had problems with doing daffodils and tulips. I'm not very good at them, but all other flowers I really enjoyed to color. I even tried to add some additional leaves from myself to make those flower composition to look even more realistic, and because of my new Posca pen which helped me to outline to mask all black lines, I really love how my flowers look. In my new country gardens I did this flower arch, and probably that's my favorite Teresa Goodrich finished project of July. I immediately fall in love with this picture. I wanted to color this rose arch, and mostly I used Prismacolors because I love how they behaved on this paper. Only for the green parts I used polychromasis because they provided me with bigger variety of greens and it was possible to show highlighted and shadow parts on the leaves. I spent quite a long amount of time by masking all black lines, especially on all those peach and pale cream roses, but I think that it was worth it, was spending such a long time because I really love flowers without black lines. I also hope to show that central part of the yard is more highlighted, so I tried to work a little bit with uh, shadows and highlights, so it was instructive but in the same time was very pleasurable coloring. And my final finished project in Teresa Books in July was this candle and soap shops. I have already did a lot of pictures in her books with green, brown or blue doors and windows, so this time I decided to try something new. I was thinking about lavender, so I colored lavender in this flower garland, and I used lavender colors for the door and for many candles and soaps. When I was coloring it, I imagined a small artisan shop somewhere in Provence. I think that I even was able to uh, sense the smell of the lavender flowers. So I am glad that I selected this page as my start in this book. I have already decided which project will be my second and even third. I'm really happy that I finally got these books in my collection, and I am eagerly waiting for the next books by Teresa Goodrich. Quite surprisingly, I did picture in Maria Trolle. If you are familiar with my channel and follow my channel, you probably know that Maria Trolle is a difficult illustrator for me. Even if I think that I have planned all the colors for the picture, even if I made all the color decisions, something in the end always is bothering me. I really love cobalt, turquoise, aquamarine, and pale green colors which I used here for the background. Uh, I love these pencils, but I wasn't totally in love with this background after I did it. Good thing is that I started from the background, so I managed to color all other elements, uh, adjusting to these very bright background colors, so everything is exactly as I wanted. I wanted leaves to be in similar color to the background, so not very contrast. I wanted those mushrooms to be quite visible and flowers to be white and pink. I am glad that I decided to select unusual color for the girl. It helped me to attract more attention to her tiny figure. But still, all I can say about this page is that I totally admire works by other colorists when I saw them on Instagram, and I always start to think that I also want to try to color something like this in Maria Trolle book, but each time I got like a confirmation that Maria Trolle isn't exactly my type of illustrator. But let's move to the next book where I always color without any particular problems, even if this time I have changed my initial plot, initial idea in the process of coloring. I wanted this girl to be like Indian girl, and I invented this background because I added that wigwam behind of her and that totem on the left side. I draw them by myself, but then I started to color her hair, and I don't know why, but I selected this bright red color, and step by step, especially after I colored blue eyes, she definitely looked not like an Indian girl but like some fantasy character. I decided that I don't care. I just love this color combo of pastel colors on the background. I love how her blue eyes look together with her red hair. I have already colored several owls in this book. I colored them in brown, black and dark gray, and this time I decided to color it in a very pale gray and almost white colors. I wish I would do brighter yellow eyes for the all, but in all other parts I am quite happy how my girl looks, and I must say that I am quite happy with my background. I used Derwent drawing pencils, and I am quite happy how they helped me to create this background in muted calm colors. In July, I did one picture in World Within Worlds by Kerry Razanes, and my problem with this book is that I'm totally in love, crazy in love with all the designs, but so many people are currently coloring in this book that when you have looked at all those beautiful designs, you feel like it's quite difficult to have your own creative ideas and to make pictures like your own. I am glad that for this antelope picture I invented this story of the two parts of the villages. One is under moonlight and the left part is under the sunlight. I am not sure that I managed to show it clearly on the picture, but at least it was my idea. I totally love how my polychromoses behave on this paper, so I covered all the background with pencils. You know that it's not my favorite way. I usually don't have enough patience to cover background with pencils, but here I really enjoyed it. It was relaxing. I am glad that I decided to stay in a relatively limited color palette, all those various shades of blue and blue-violet colors, with small addition of yellow and purple colors. For the Moonlight Village, I also added a little bit of Prismacolor pencils. I think that Great Lavender is quite visible here on the roofs, but anything else is colored with polychromoses and of course with a lot of Posca markers. I hoped to color the right side also, and I had some ideas for the background, but unfortunately I didn't have enough time, so maybe I will try to color it in August. And finally, let's have a look at the Manuel de Bonheur. I simply put away the dust cover because I am currently working in this book, so it's easy to color without dust cover. Here I finished this bedtime story picture, quite cute. I wanted to do something in my favorite bright colors, and when I saw this quilt, and I am a huge lover of quilts, I immediately decided that this will be my next project. As usual, I used almost the whole set of 150 Prismacolors for this page, so everything is quite colorful, but I hope that all my cats or sleeping kittens, mother cat, they all are visible and that they are not lost. I'm satisfied how they fur look, and I also tried to work to show all the highlights from both lamps and to do wooden texture, so it was interesting coloring. And I also started a huge project. I love this picture of fruit and flower market, perfect to color during the summertime, but it's very detailed. In the same time, it's quite instructive. You can practice here how to color cobblestones, how to color those metal baskets, various wooden textures. So a lot of things to practice and of course so many various animals. But I predict that it will be quite a long project. I hope that maybe in the end of the August I will finish it, or maybe it will take longer. But for now I really enjoy, I love my start, and I will be proceeding to color it. It will be one of my most important projects in August. Of course, I planned to color more in July to do more works. I wanted to color something like Christmas in July, But unfortunately, sometimes real life goes in front of all your hobbies, so I am quite satisfied with all my finished works and I look forward for my next works in August. In July I got a couple of new coloring books, a lot of very nice art supplies, beautiful presents, so I am quite happy that I was able to test new mediums, to test new art supplies. So July was happy coloring month. And finally, let me show you my progress in stitching. It's also not very big because I was caught in stitching all those cobblestones and can't say that it was very exciting. I am not happy that I wasn't able to reach the right bottom corner and the right side of the design, but to stitch all those pale brown, pale gray cobblestones wasn't very interesting, so I uh, sometimes went to this right side where we have bright colors. Let me remind you what exactly I am stitching. You can see that I almost finished this part and now I need to start stitching the right side of the arch. I am not happy with my progress because I really wanted to finish this in August and to start stitching my Christmas stocking. And now I'm sure that I won't be able to finish it in August. It's I know that I'm quite slow teacher and especially because I have to divide my time between stitching and coloring, but I'm happy how my design looks so far. I always love to do dimensions designs, and also it was quite instructive for me to look how designers show light and shadow on the buildings, which color for the threads designer used to show shadows on the white, which colors designer used for various cobblestones, and all these ideas I can use in my coloring, especially in Teresa Goodrich books, because they are quite similar to this design. I thank you for watching. I hope that you had productive July and I wish that we all have quite nice August and that we will be able to enjoy the last months of summer in its full strength. So happy coloring and thank you for watching. I will see you very soon.